You're sitting in your car outside urgent care, engine off, one hand on the door handle, the other hand scrolling through your insurance app, like you're trying to decode a government document written by a lawyer with a grudge. Your throat feels like sandpaper. Your chest feels weird. Maybe it's nothing, maybe it's something. But before you even think about your health, your brain goes straight to the money. You Google, how much does bloodwork cost with insurance? Then, urgent care copay with deductible. Then, can urgent care send surprise bills? And somehow every answer makes you feel worse. Because this visit could be $40, or it could be $1,400. And that is the most painfully American thing ever. Only in America can you pay for health insurance every single month and still be scared to use it. You are doing the responsible thing. You have coverage. You see that premium come out of your paycheck or bank account every month. You are paying for protection. You are paying for peace of mind. But the second you actually need care, it does not feel like peace of mind. It feels like you are about to walk into a financial trap with fluorescent lights and a clipboard. America has trained people to believe that having health insurance means safety. But millions of people have learned the hard way that covered does not always mean affordable. In-network does not always mean simple. Preventive care does not always mean free. And an explanation of benefits can somehow explain absolutely nothing. So people wait. They monitor the symptom. They tell themselves it will probably go away. They take the cheap route first. They ask Reddit. They ask WebMD. They ask their mom. They do everything except book the appointment they are supposedly insured to book. And this video is not just about health insurance. It is about the psychology of avoiding a system you already pay for. It is about how fear, confusion, deductibles, copays, surprise bills, and one bad medical invoice can quietly damage both your health and your wealth. Because the real problem is not that Americans do not care about their health. The real problem is that the system has made using healthcare feel financially dangerous. Here is the trap most people do not understand until they are already inside it. Health insurance in America is not one bill. It is a whole obstacle course of bills, and every obstacle has a different name. First, there is the premium. That is the money you pay every month just to have the insurance. It comes out of your paycheck, or it hits your bank account, and whether you use the doctor or not, that money is gone. Think of the premium like a monthly membership fee. But here is the messed up part. It is a membership fee that does not always feel like access. You pay the premium just to keep the door unlocked. Then you walk through the door, and the deductible is standing there saying, "Cool, now pay a few $1,000s before the real help begins." The deductible is what you usually have to pay out of pocket before insurance really starts covering a bigger share of your care. So you can be insured, go to the doctor, get tests, get imaging, get medication, and still feel like you are paying cash because you have not hit the deductible yet. Then there is the copay, which is the fixed amount you pay for certain visits or prescriptions. Maybe it is $30. Maybe it is $75. Maybe a specialist visit costs more. It sounds simple until you realize some services have a copay, some go toward the deductible, and some trigger coinsurance. Coinsurance is when you pay a percentage of the bill, and percentages are cute when you are splitting a pizza. They are terrifying when the bill is $3,000. Then there is the out-of-pocket maximum, which sounds comforting because it is supposed to be the most you pay in a year for covered in-network care. But even that comes with fine print. Covered, in-network, approved, properly billed, those words matter. And that brings us to the next part of the maze, in-network versus out-of-network. In-network means your insurance company has negotiated with that provider. Out-of-network means the provider might as well be operating on another planet financially. And the brutal part is that you can go to an in-network hospital and still accidentally interact with someone out-of-network. The doctor might be covered, but the lab might not. The facility might be covered, but the anesthesiologist might not. You thought you were following the rules, but the rules were hidden in a 1,000-page PDF nobody reads unless they have a law degree and unlimited free time. Then there is prior authorization, which is basically your insurance company saying, "Before we pay for this thing your doctor says you need, we need to decide whether we agree." So now your health decision is not just between you and your doctor. It is you, your doctor, your insurer, a portal login, 3 phone calls, and some mysterious department that somehow always needs 5 to 7 business days. And if all of that was not enough, people still fear surprise bills, the kind of bill that shows up weeks later and ruins your entire mood at the mailbox. You thought you paid, You thought it was handled. Then here comes another envelope, like a financial jump scare. Now put this inside normal American life. Rent is up. Groceries are up. Daycare costs more than some mortgages. Student loans are back in the budget. Car insurance is ridiculous. A basic trip to Target somehow cost $180. And now your employer health plan still comes with a deductible that feels like you need a second emergency fund just to be sick responsibly. So when people avoid the doctor, it is easy to judge them and say, that is irrational. Why would you delay care? But honestly, it is not irrational. It is a response to uncertainty. A known $150 problem feels safer than an unknown medical bill. That is ambiguity aversion. When people cannot clearly see the price, they avoid the decision. Not because they are stupid, because they are trying to survive inside a system where every wrong guess can cost real money. And that is the great American contradiction. We tell people to be responsible. Get insured. Go to your checkups. Catch problems early. Take care of yourself. Then we hand them a bill they cannot decode and an explanation of benefits that looks like it was designed by a hostage negotiator. KFF has found that about 36% of adults skipped or postponed needed care because of cost. And even among insured adults, about 37% reported not getting needed care because of cost. That means this is not just an uninsured problem. This is an American problem. Because the system does not just charge you money. It charges you mental energy. And when people are financially exhausted, they choose delay. Here is the shift that changes everything. Avoiding the doctor can feel like saving money. It feels responsible. It feels disciplined. It feels like you are being financially careful. You tell yourself, I do not want to overreact. I do not want to get hit with some random bill. I do not want to waste money if this turns out to be nothing. And honestly, that sounds reasonable. But a lot of the time, you are not actually saving money. You are transferring risk into the future. You are taking a problem that might be small, manageable, and relatively cheap today, and you are pushing it forward into a version of the future, where it might be bigger, more painful, more complicated, and way more expensive. That is the hidden behavioral finance mistake. Most people treat healthcare like a discretionary expense, like eating out, like streaming subscriptions, like buying a new phone, like something you can cut back on when the budget gets tight. And sometimes, yes, there are medical expenses that can be planned, compared, delayed, or shopped around. But healthcare itself is not a normal purchase. Healthcare is risk management. It is not the same as saying, I will skip Starbucks this week. It is more like saying, I will ignore the check engine light and hope the car heals itself. And the problem is, your body does not care about your deductible. Your blood pressure does not care about your copay. That weird pain in your side does not care that rent is due Friday. Biology is not sitting there thinking, you know what, let's wait until this person has a better cash flow month. This is where you have to separate two things that look similar on the outside, but are completely different underneath. There is being frugal, and then there is being financially avoidant. Frugal says, I am going to compare options. I am going to check what is in network. I am going to ask whether there is a lower cost imaging center. I am going to use my HSA if I have one. I am going to ask about generic prescriptions. I am going to understand my plan before I panic. That is smart. That is strategic. That is, you using your brain to lower the cost of care without pretending the need for care does not exist. Financially avoidant says, I am going to ignore this symptom and hope it becomes free. And listen, that is not weakness. That is not laziness. That is what happens when people are tired, when every bill feels like a threat, when one medical envelope in the mail can throw off the entire month, when you have been trained to believe that asking for help might come with a price tag you cannot predict. But it is still dangerous, because the scariest bills are not always the ones from going early. Sometimes the scariest bills are the ones from waiting until the urgent care problem becomes an emergency room problem. Waiting until the prescription could have helped, but now you need a specialist. Waiting until the missed work starts costing more than the appointment would have. Waiting until the small issue turns into surgery, chronic medication, permanent damage, or months of stress you did not need to carry. And that is the brutal irony. People delay care because they are afraid of the bill. But sometimes the delay becomes the bill. This is what I call premium pain versus usage fear. Americans feel the premium every month, every paycheck, every bank statement, every open enrollment season when you stare at the plan options like you are choosing between 3 different ways to get punched in the wallet. That premium hurts. But then, when it is finally time to use the insurance, there is a second fear. What will they charge me? Is this covered? Is this doctor actually in network? What if the lab is separate? What if they deny it? What if I get another bill 2 months from now? What if I do everything right and still get punished? So what happens? People pay for insurance while still acting uninsured. They have the card in their wallet. They have the plan. They have the monthly premium. But emotionally, they are living like one appointment could become a financial ambush. And that is the mindset shift. Health insurance is not a magic shield. It does not automatically make care affordable. It does not automatically make the system simple. It does not automatically remove fear. Health insurance is a financial tool. And like every financial tool, if you do not understand how it works, it can still hurt you. A credit card can build your credit, or it can bury you in debt. A mortgage can help you own a home, or it can make you house poor. A 401 can build wealth, but only if you know what you are invested in and do not treat it like some mysterious adult account you ignore for 30 years. Health insurance is the same way. It is not enough to have it. You have to understand the rules well enough that confusion does not become the thing making your decisions. And that is where this becomes bigger than healthcare. Because wealth is not just your net worth. Wealth is not just your brokerage account, your home equity, or whether you maxed out your 401a this year. Wealth is margin. It is having enough breathing room to make good decisions before life forces bad ones. A wealthy mindset does not mean pretending medical costs are fine. They are not fine for a lot of people. It does not mean acting like the system is fair. A lot of the time, it is not. It does not mean shaming yourself because you are scared of the bill. It means refusing to let confusion make the decision for you. It means saying, I may not control the whole system, but I can control whether I understand my deductible. I can control whether I check the network. I can control whether I ask questions. I can control whether I treat my health like a risk to manage instead of a cost to avoid. Because the goal is not to love the American healthcare system. The goal is to stop letting fear and confusion make your health decisions. Here is the unpopular truth. In America, you do not just need health insurance. You need a healthcare financial strategy. The same way you need a rent strategy. The same way you need a retirement strategy. The same way you need an emergency fund strategy. Because the healthcare system is not designed for you to not casually figure it out when you are sick, stressed, in pain, and already scared. That is like trying to read the terms of your mortgage while your house is on fire. So the first rule is this: know your real deductible number, not just your premium, not just your copay. Your premium tells you what it costs to keep the plan alive. Your copay tells you what certain visits might cost, but your deductible and your out-of-pocket maximum tell you what kind of financial storm you might actually face. Your deductible is the amount you may need to pay before insurance starts covering more. Your out-of-pocket maximum is the ceiling for covered in-network care for the year. Those two numbers matter because they define your risk. A lot of people know their monthly premium because they feel it, but they have no idea what their deductible is until the bill shows up. That is backwards. You would never buy a car and only ask about the monthly payment while ignoring the total price. But that is exactly how a lot of people understand health insurance. They know the monthly pain, but not the real exposure. Second, build a medical buffer. Not a perfect emergency fund, not $20,000 sitting in a high-yield savings account because some finance guy on YouTube told you to be more disciplined while filming in front of a rented Lamborghini. Start with something real. $500, $1,000. That amount may not solve every medical problem, but it can change your behavior. It can be the difference between booking the appointment and sitting in bed at 1 a.m, spiraling through WebMD, convincing yourself you either have indigestion or 6 months to live. A medical buffer gives you decision-making power. It gives you enough breathing room to say, I can at least get this checked. And sometimes that is the difference between catching something early and letting fear run the whole show. Third, use the system before it becomes an emergency. This is boring advice. It is also the kind of boring advice that can save you thousands of dollars and years of regret. Have a primary care doctor if you can. Use preventive screenings when they are covered. Ask about generic prescriptions. Use telehealth when the issue fits. Learn the difference between urgent care and the emergency room, because that difference can be financially massive. And whenever possible, ask billing questions before treatment. Not because you are being difficult, because in this system, being passive can be expensive. Fourth, use an HSA or FSA if you have access to one. An HSA or health savings account can be powerful because it gives you tax advantages when paired with an eligible high-deductible health plan. An FSA, or flexible spending account, can also help you set aside pre-tax money for medical expenses. But do not treat these accounts like magic. An HSA is not a personality trait. It is not a flex. It is not some secret rich person cheat code unless you actually understand how to use it. It only helps if you know what counts as a qualified expense, how much you can contribute, and whether you are using it for today's medical costs or saving it for the future. Used well, it is a tool. Used randomly, it is just another debit card with rules. Fifth, ask the boring questions. And yes, these questions are annoying. They are awkward. They make you feel like you are turning a doctor's visit into a customer service negotiation. But these boring questions can be expensive if you skip them. Is this provider in network? Is the lab in network? Is the imaging center in network? Is the anesthesiologist in network? Is there a lower cost location for this scan? What billing code will be used? Do you offer a cash price? Is there a payment plan? Is there a financial assistance policy? Those questions do not make you cheap. They make you awake, because the system already expects you to behave like a consumer. The problem is it puts you inside a market where half the price tags are missing. The rules change depending on who answers the phone. And the final receipt might arrive 6 weeks later like a plot twist. Peterson KFF Health System Tracker has pointed out that cost sharing can create real burdens, contribute to medical debt, and make care unaffordable. It has also noted that more than 40% of U.S. households do not have enough assets to pay a typical private plan deductible. So when people feel overwhelmed, that is not drama. That is math. Sixth, stop using shame as a budgeting tool. A lot of Americans feel embarrassed asking about medical costs. They feel like they are supposed to just hand over the insurance card, nod politely, and deal with the bill later. They feel guilty for asking whether something is covered, as if worrying about money means they do not care about their health. That mindset has to go. You are not wrong for asking what something costs. You are not wrong for wanting options. You are not wrong for needing a payment plan. You are not wrong for saying, I need to understand this before I agree. That is not shameful. That is survival in a system that made healthcare feel like a financial guessing game. And look, none of this means you can control every bill. You cannot. Sometimes the system is messy, no matter how careful you are. Sometimes you do everything right and still end up fighting with insurance, calling billing departments, and wondering why adulthood feels like a never-ending group project with companies that do not answer emails. But preparation still matters, because every piece of clarity reduces fear. Every question gives you a little more control. Every dollar in that medical buffer gives you more room to choose action instead of avoidance. You may not be able to fix the system today, but you can stop walking into it blind. Now go back to that person sitting in the car outside urgent care. Same parking lot, same weird chest feeling. Same insurance app open on the phone. Same little voice in the back of the mind asking, how bad is this going to be? But this time, something is different. The old version of that person is frozen because they have no idea what is about to happen financially. They do not know their deductible. They do not know what counts as in-network. They do not know whether the lab is covered. They do not know what questions they are allowed to ask. So the fear fills in the blanks. And fear is a terrible financial planner. The new version still knows the system is flawed. They are not naive. They know the bill might be annoying. They know the insurance company might make something harder than it needs to be. They know the American healthcare system can take a simple appointment and turn it into a 3-week customer service side quest. But they are not powerless anymore. They know their deductible. They know their out-of-pocket maximum. They know how to check the network. They know to ask whether the lab, imaging center, specialist, or facility is covered. They have a small medical buffer, even if it is not perfect. They know that avoiding care is not always saving money. Sometimes it is just delaying the cost until the problem gets bigger. And that is the point. Being insured in America does not automatically mean feeling safe. But understanding your insurance can make you harder to exploit, harder to confuse, and harder to scare into neglecting yourself. Because this is not just about doctor visits. This is about reclaiming your ability to make decisions without panic running the entire meeting. It is about looking at a broken system and saying, fine, I may not control all of this, but I am not going to walk through it blind. So if you have ever paid for health insurance and still hesitated to use it, comment one word below. Covered. Because that one word captures the whole paradox. Hey, covered but still scared. Covered but still confused. Covered but still wondering if one appointment is going to wreck the budget. And if this helped you see the money trap a little more clearly, like the video and subscribe to the Wealth Mindset Code. This channel is about decoding the hidden financial traps inside everyday American life, not with hype, not with fake motivation, but with clear thinking, behavioral psychology, and real-world financial survival. Because wealth is not just having money in the bank. Wealth is having enough clarity to stop making fear-based decisions with your life. In America, health insurance is not the finish line. It is the starting point. A lot of people think the responsible move is simply having coverage. And yes, having coverage matters. It can protect you from financial disaster. It can give you access to care. It can make a brutal bill less brutal. But the real wealth mindset is not just having the insurance card. It is understanding what that card actually means. What does your plan cover? What does it not cover? What is your deductible? What is your out-of-pocket maximum? Who is in network? Which services need approval? Where are the financial landmines hiding? Because that is the paradox. Millions of Americans are technically insured, but emotionally uninsured. They pay premiums every month. They do the responsible thing. They keep the coverage. But when they get sick, they still hesitate. Not because they are careless. Not because they are lazy. Because the price is unclear, the rules are confusing, and one wrong move can feel like it might wreck the monthly budget. So the solution is not blind optimism. It is not pretending the system is fair. It is preparation. Know your deductible. Know your out-of-pocket maximum. Know your network. Build a medical buffer. Ask questions before the bill shows up. Use preventive care before small problems become expensive emergencies. The wealthy mindset is not, I hope nothing goes wrong. The wealthy mindset is, I understand the risk. I plan for it, and I do not let fear make the decision for me.